Oh, are we, hello? Can you see me clearly, or are we blurred? Is the focus on? And I'm seeing, is your soul of the eye focused right now? I'm seeing like a telescope energy, which in my Cosmos message deck, it talks about seeing life from the lens of the soul, but I'm seeing something that you're remembering clearly is that you are the soul navigating the physical form. And this is the mechanics of spirit experiencing itself fluidly in the realm of matter, in the material realm. When we strip back the material, it's the realm of energy, and you're remembering yourself as an energetic being. Okay. Oh, okay. So we have huge third eye energy today. This is about you lifting the human condition. You're seeing life through the lens of the soul, and you are now seeing something. Okay, this is about this construct and also yourself being immersed in it in a way that you cannot unsee. It's the moment that Neo takes the red pill and he follows the white rabbit through Wonderland. So we're going to beckon for you to come and safely explore more when it comes to this territory. It was a dimensional layer of this reality that was always accessible. The only thing that's changing is that your awareness is now tuned into the fields that were always coexisting with you. Okay, they were always coexisting beside you. And these were subtle fields that are now becoming more amplified, and it's because you're ascending into a high octave, so you can now tune into what always was. Okay, that's the message. So I am going to share with you something, and it feels like a catch-up session, so I really love this. So if you're new, we've been traveling through Mexico, right? And we have different travel series, and this is one that I've been meaning to catch up on, but it's happening at the speed of alignment because this is activating now, so I'm being called to actually share these messages now. And today we're going to talk about Chichen Itza, my experience there, what I was picking up on in the collective fields, also what I see activating when it comes to your subjective journey. So we're going to overlay this. I'm going to take you through an illustrative storyboard of what happened and what I was observing. But before we speak about Chichen Itza, we have to understand the field, first of all, that you're seated in and that you're standing in. And that's that this reality is not fixed. It's not ever something that's happening to you. I'm hearing it's being rendered from you and holographically projected into this construct. And so you're existing in a living field of potential that is expressing and experiencing itself through you, right? You are the higher intelligence that is immersed within the physical vessel, and you're not separate from it. And I keep seeing cosmic lens. So you have a way of being able to place yourself in the eye of the storm and witnessing the secret order to what may appear to be disorderly, understanding that harmonic order is always being sustained in the system. For example, some fractals of awareness are becoming conscious of themselves when waking up in the system, while others are coming into hypnosis, but there is always order within the scales of justice I'm seeing. Anyway, you are the infinite field or structure temporarily experiencing itself through form, right? So you are the eternal being experiencing temporal moments through time, or time being able to express and experience these temporal moments through you. Okay, I'm seeing the eternal being experience moments in time. So you stop being defined by the construct and instead you begin co-creating with it. And that was the theme of Chichen Itza in a nutshell. It was the moment that the soul woke up inside of the material body and began to see themselves clearly, see this construct clearly, right? Master their mind, master their emotional state, and that led to mastery over matter. So it's you changing your relationship with the material plane. This is something that we're being called back to. We ascend through realms where different octave expressions begin to ripple through our sovereign journeys and also shift us into different collective timelines. But what I'm seeing happening now is that we're ascending back into a different spiral within the Fibonacci sequence, which is us just returning to experiences that we've also had in like past lives and where humanity was and really where they are and where they're returning to. That's what I'm seeing happen. Okay, so you're remembering yourself once again. A huge theme that showed up was the root. I could feel it immediately. A contraction in the root. It was a tightening around themes of safety and stability, and the idea that something outside of me was required in order for me to feel secure. And yet I was standing inside of a place built by beings who understood energy and cycles and abundance far beyond the way that we've been taught to perceive it, the distortion became clear. It was that safety had been outsourced collectively, where we projected our safety onto things like money and people and structures. But the construct wasn't in the world, it was the root. It was a rooted program and memory and lifetimes of scarcity that were looping through the body. And in that moment, I shifted my attention away from the material plane while still fully being immersed in it. And I remembered, I'm not this structure and I'm not bound to the system. I'm an immaterial being moving through this reality. And you've lived many lives, played many characters, moved through countless versions of yourself. Yet here you are, still believing that you're limited to this one construct. Well, whose belief is that, right? That's the first thing that I began to question. Who told you that you needed something outside of yourself to be safe? Because in truth, you designed this. A world with rich resources, a planet that's overflowing with abundance, and a construct to experience, to create, and to play within. The moment you remember what you truly are, you branch beyond the system, and you stop being contained by the experience and instead begin observing it. You participate in it without being defined by it. So detaching from everything is not a loss, but instead it's a remembrance, because it's in your needing of nothing that you receive everything, because you remember that everything is you. And that's the paradox. So can you hold space for the walking paradox that you are, experiencing infinity while simultaneously existing in the void? Safety is not something that you find, it's literally something that you are. So abundance was never outside of you. The energy began to shift the moment that I redirected it. So my root began to stabilize as my energy began to shift away from believing or perceiving that I was merely a material being, but instead of remembering myself as an immaterial being immersed within this material plane. And just that remembrance alone allows us to anchor safety back into the body, and I'm hearing back into the grid. So this is something that bleeds through the ancestral lines. So any themes that were held within survival, identity, or emotional looping is freed in that moment. And it's not that it disappears, it's that it redirects upwards from the root into the third eye. And this is the geometry of perception. And this is what I noticed, that when you move through as an organism of consciousness and you begin to harmonize and synchronize with the energy of Chichen Itza, it's literally a perceptual architecture where you shift from the root to the third eye. Okay, you re-channel your energy towards the upper dantian. And in that moment, you literally remember that you are a limitless being anchored into this system. And what happens is that the emotional body begins stable enough for you to actually see yourself clearly. So the root holds the information of like the ancestral bloodline and the physical vessel and what that's encoded with. And then the third eye allows you to perceive that and see it from the lens of the soul, to not just see this realm clearly, but also understand the inner world within yourself and this vehicle, this vessel, this avatar, and essentially everything that came before it as well. But without grounding, you cannot stabilize what you're seeing. And without vision, you can't understand it. So together, you become a conscious participant in the collapse of reality itself. The crown allows you to see everything as light, not just those around you, but also yourself as a light being. So when the crown opens, your perception shifts again, and you're no longer seeing yourself as the identity within the system, but instead you see yourself as light, literally the infinite expressing itself through form. And in that remembrance, you're no longer confined to this structure. Instead, you begin co-creating with it. And you see other people the same way, right? So each person is a light being, this field of consciousness that's moving through their own geometric pattern of perception. And these belief systems actually create distortions within the conduit itself. And that became very, very evident as I was moving through Chichen Itza. I saw that belief systems are not truth, but instead they're distortions that create these blockages inside of each organism of consciousness. And that can literally create a blockage in the third eye in how a being sees themselves. So that's a fractal of awareness that's not yet conscious of itself, because it holds a belief system that disrupts the way that it understands the whole construct, not just in the realm that it lives, but the construct of the mechanics of spirit navigating through form. They refract light and they bend perception. So they fragment the flow of life force. So instead of coherence, energy becomes scattered and redirected and limited. And it's never because the being is limited, it's because the lens and how they see themselves is, right? A fractal of infinite potential, whether it's aware of the fact that it's infinite potential, doesn't negate the fact that it's still infinite potential, right? So this is about belief systems that have obstructed or distorted the way that we see ourselves as creators inside of the system that we've designed in order for us to co-create with. And this is why most people cannot see themselves as they truly are. Not because they're not abundant, but because the field is being filtered through this distortion of the emotional body. If we really dive into infinite potential moving through you as a conduit, we have to understand that each extension of source is a conduit, right? So life force is designed to move through you as a fractal of infinite potential. And so the question will become, how much can you hold without distortion? How open is the channel and how coherent is the field? Because when the system is stable, right, the system inside of you, the physical vessel, then your perception is clear. Infinite potential no longer fragments. Instead, it just begins to stream. There was a lot of serpent and snake energy as well that I noticed in Chichinita, which is often linked to like the Kundalini awakening, right? Which is the redirection of life force towards the upper dantian. And I saw this as remembering yourself. To awaken in the system is to remember. It's not to change who you are, but it's just to discard all the belief systems that you've adopted as part of social conditioning and worldly conditioning, essentially, that weaves through societal engineering and everything in this construct that has distorted the lens of eternity staring back at itself. This is a current that rises through you that allows you to become anchored once again and grounded and coherent, where you're actually able to hold more. So you're not here to generate reality. You're here to allow the infinite to express itself through you without that distortion. And the moment that you remember that you move beyond the illusion of this system while still fully within it, you begin to see clearly, you can create consciously as the infinite expressing itself in form. And so I want to share this butterfly theme with you. And I did a reading that came up in the astral of butterflies. So I'll link that reading down below because that's also been activated. But before walking to Chichinita, right, we were walking down this road and there was a whole cluster of butterflies. I'll see if I can find some footage or illustrations to show you guys the story. But this is where the field reminds you, because you are the universe speaking to you through everything around you. It's if you're listening close enough. So on the road, in the middle of construction of this movement and rebuilding that was happening, there were hundreds of butterflies that were gathering. And I've never seen anything like it. It's not like they were scattering in different directions. They were literally all coming together around this one butterfly that was transitioning, right? They were on the brink of death, right? They were kissing the other side and they began to transition into the other realms. But there was no mourning with these other butterflies. They were just present and they recognized that there was this continuation, right? That the ending wasn't the end, but it was the continuation where it's simply the butterfly going on to experience itself in other dimensions. And in that moment, I saw death clearly. I recognized that it wasn't death, it was transformation that was being witnessed. And that's what coming into remembrance is. It's not about leaving this life. It's recognizing that you can experience a new lifetime within this lifetime alone. And that's what baptism is. It's about rising to a new level of consciousness where you look back at your old self and you recognize just how much you've changed, just how much you've evolved. And so you begin to see your journey through the lens of the soul, right? I'm seeing 555 here. Like you begin to see change and stepping outside of your comfort zone through the lens of the soul. And you recognize that fear was never holding you back. It was only limiting your choices, right? You can see where fear was previously shaping your choices or limiting the way that you move through this realm. And so the question becomes, what if fear was never a factor? What would you choose? And more importantly, what do you choose now? So we're going to go ahead and close out with a quick message. I do want to take a look at probably a Cosmos Oracle message for this, and also a Light Seers tarot deck. I kind of want to take a look at the theme of what you're overcoming when it comes to that illusion or obstacle of fear. Right, so we have two cards. One is the Temperance and the other is the Two of Cups. Ooh, this is literally anchoring into a new grid. But the thing is, it's like you're anchoring back into yourself. That's what this is. Like the Two of Cups represents like a harmonious union, right? But it feels like it's more of a union internally. Temperance is somebody testing out new timelines and experiences. And it's not something that they're jumping into the deep end with. It's something that they've been, I'm hearing, getting subtly acclimated to, right? It's like an acclimation process that takes place where you begin anchoring new ways of being until that becomes your new normal. So you do the thing that makes you feel fearful, but then you stay present with yourself even with that fear, right? You do it even in the presence of that fear, and you remind yourself that you are safe, you are secure, you are stable as you're doing it. And the thing is, you subtly rewire your nervous system when you do it, because you show your body, right? You show even your brain like tangible evidence of, okay, we did the thing that was like scary or the unknown thing, right? We immersed ourselves in a new environment or new way of being, and there was no threat. There was no, the root chakra is all about fear of death, essentially, like the fear of like an ending. And it could even be like the identity in many ways, or the version of self that we have identified ourselves with being shifting. And it's like, oh, we still survived, right? No one got eaten by a jaguar or tiger or crocodile, right? We did the thing. We swam in the cenote and there was no animal that came to get me. No, it was just a beautiful experience. Oh, wow. We should do this more often. It's kind of like that energy of, oh, that thing that I was so scared about, like, that's really what it is. Ultimately, it's fear of death. If we really lift the veil enough, it's fear of rejection from the tribe. It's fear of exile. It's fear of being perceived, because that would mean isolation, which would mean no connection. And there's something around remaining present with yourself and also connected with yourself as you do these new things, remembering that you were safe, you were secure, you were stable, and showing yourself over and over again that you were stable, you were secure, you were able and capable. Let's get a Cosmos Oracle message, time, right? So this is something that you experience through time. It's moments through time. So it's about the journey and the unfoldment of it. It also talks about universal time versus personal time. So this is like the human time versus the way that the soul experiences time, which is the eternal being experiencing temporal moments. So non-linear stages. The unfoldment of the two times that act at once. Universal time and personal time. This card does not refer to the time as we perceive it, clock time, but instead universal time, which is the natural time of the states that matter passes through and must pass through to transform you. You cannot ask water to turn into ice without first cooling it sufficiently or evaporating it without boiling it. They are the stages that the half circle must go through before becoming a full circle. Trust the process involves understanding cosmic time and detaching yourself from anxiety. So the detachment from anxiety, right? Your own anxiety. Know how to wait, understand, let go, and trust the stages of the process. The mantra portal is, I believe in the synchronicity of life. Show your body again and again and again that it's safe. As you immerse yourself into these experiences and you begin to create from the crown, the linear mind will play catch up with what you already know is encoded into this lattice for you as a light being to experience. That's my message. What will you choose now that fear isn't a factor? And what would you choose knowing that fear was an illusion? What would you have chosen, soul review? And can you anchor that in now? So I'm going to love and leave you right there. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, do consider subscribing. Personal reading details are also down below. Also check out Ultra Spirit if you're looking for some high quality AAA grade gemstones. You have 2 discount codes for that in the description box below. $1 of the proceeds are donated towards Ultra Sanctuaries. I don't know if I said that, if I'm repeating myself, I just blanked out. But until next time, bye.